We have Mike Van Lent. Mike, go ahead and start up your presentation. You are muted right now.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes, there you go.
All right, let me just check. Good, I can advance. Whoops. How do I go? I advanced and then I can't unadvance. All right, going back. I see, got it. Thank you. I'm Mike Van Lent. I'm the anchor speaker today, doing the traditional SoarTech update. This has got to be the 22nd SoarTech update at the Soar workshop, something like that, which is kind of crazy. I want to just take a quick moment and thank Bob Mariner for the 2 presentations he just gave and all the hard work that is behind those presentations. And as you know, the management or one of the members of management that he was referring to in his comments, everything he said is spot on. You know, Soar and JSOAR are important tools to SoarTech, and we want to pay attention to the demand signal, both from inside SoarTech and from the community as we decide how to invest resources into JSOAR, and especially as we make the difficult decisions about how to invest resources into JSOAR relative to all the other things we could be investing those resources in, to Bob's comment. I will say we are committed to keeping JSOAR and the surrounding development tools open source. So if you know, any part of the conversation ever touches on fear that JSOAR will at some point become proprietary and not be available to the community, and any sort of investment or work will be lost, I will make my commitment right now that is not something we are looking to do, and hard to imagine a circumstance where that would ever happen. It's out of tune with what the whole SOAR community is about.
And the chairman of the board will make that command, that statement too.
And so there you got it from the 2 key management people in management. So what is SoarTech? We have, I noticed there's quite a few more people at the Soar workshop this year, which is great. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with SoarTech, I wanted to do a kind of a 1-slide introduction. We are a private company that spun off of the University of Michigan Soar Group back in 1998, 22 years ago. I was a grad student at the Soar Group at the time. And it was the result of a DARPA project, and I think a couple of follow-on projects to build a AI model of pilots to populate training simulations was largely the idea. Today, 22 years later, we're 110 employees, about 26 with PhDs, 32 with masters. 85% of our staff are technical staff. We have 2 offices in Ann Arbor and Orlando. The picture on the right there is the building that our office in Orlando is in, and we've got a nice big fancy SoarTech sign up there. We're in Orlando because a significant amount of the military's modeling and simulation community is based in Orlando. And so being near that community and having them see our sign as they drive to and from work every day has been very valuable for us. At any given time, SoarTech has between 60 and 80 different active research projects, or research contracts. And almost all of these come from the Defense Department, and specifically from DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, which is our biggest funder. And then Navy, Army, Air Force are the other 3. 100% of SoarTech is owned by people, I put in quotes here, in the family, those who have some form of close association with the company. We have 3 founders who were some of the I think 5 or 6 people that started at the company 22 years ago, and now we're here 22 years later. 2 of those, Randy Jones and Frank Koss, are senior software engineers and software engineer supervisors at SoarTech, and John Laird is, as he just said, the chairman of the board. John doesn't have a day-to-day role at SoarTech, but John and I interact frequently and obviously interact at board meetings. Significant portion of SoarTech is owned by current and former employees. One of the really cool things about SoarTech, in my opinion, is we have a number of people who have left the company, but when they're leaving the company, they've asked if they can exercise their stock options and remain shareholders of the company, even though they're no longer going to work at the company. And I just think says something cool about the company that we have people who believe enough in the future of the company that they want to forego money right now for what they expect to be more money in the future, even though they're choosing to work someplace else. We have a 6-person board of directors, which has a small ownership for some of those people, and half our board are actually also employees of the company. And we also have one spin-off, Soar Automotive, which is a company we spun off about 3 or 4 years ago that's focused on applications of the artificial intelligence we do to the transportation industry. Soar Auto is not DoD focused in any way. And as you can see there on the right, we've had some pretty robust growth over the past couple of years, which has been great and exciting and fun, but also challenging. We've been showing this picture around for about the past 6 or 9 months. This is kind of, at this point, how we describe SoarTech. And it's really, we are a military DoD focused company. And what we do as a company is we understand the challenges or problems that service members are facing, and we bring AI technologies, AI experts to bear to build solutions to those problems and send those solutions back to the military. And the AI technologies and expertise in the middle are the result of both internal research we do at SoarTech, both contract research, but also internal IRAD, internal research and development. But we also, a lot of the AI technologies that we use at SoarTech are drawn from academia and other industry. And we have close partnerships with a lot of university groups and are sort of helping them facilitate the application of their very cutting edge technologies to these military challenges to build new solutions. So I should say that a number of years ago, actually, John and I in particular, had a large conversation about what sort of the span of SoarTech's technology portfolio should be. Should we be the Soar company where everything we do is Soar oriented? Should we be an artificial or a cognitive architecture company where we sort of focus on anything that involves cognitive architectures? Should we be broader than that and be an artificial intelligence company, or even broader than that and just be a software engineering company? And we've decided about 10 years ago and have stuck firm to that decision that SoarTech is an AI company. We're more, our toolkit of AI technologies is broader than Soar, but we are focused on AI as a company, and Soar is obviously an important tool in that toolkit. And people always ask me how many of those 60 projects at SoarTech use Soar. The truth is I don't have a real accurate count, and it varies from time to time. But I would say my guess is somewhere between 40 and 50% of those projects use Soar. So the next couple slides, I'm going to actually focus on that middle part of this talk, the AI technologies and the research part. And then I'm going to pop this back up, and then I'm going to talk about the service member challenges and the AI solutions after that. So AI expert. So I was putting together a little bit of a marketing brief for one of our big trade shows late last year. And as I investigated, I came up with a credible argument that over 1% of the publishing AI experts in the US work at SoarTech. So if you look below, you'll see this is all drawn from an external study, and if you want, I can get you the reference. But one of the things they did in this study is they looked at how many people published in top-tier AI conferences, and when they counted them all up, it came to about 3,000. And given that we have over 30 people at SoarTech who have and do publish, you can support a claim that we have over 1% of the publishing experts who work at SoarTech, which really, over 5% of these experts collaborate with SoarTech, typically at universities there. And I have a list of the universities we work frequently with. And so these numbers are all AI experts who publish in conferences. A subset of those are actually available to work with the Defense Department. There are a variety of reasons why someone who's a publishing AI expert may not be able to or choose not to work with the Defense Department. So a subset of this community is actually available to the Defense Department, which is obviously where we focus ourselves. So really what this boils down to is we're a relatively large fish in what I consider to be a surprisingly small pond of AI experts available to the Defense Department. So on our toolbox, this is a rough thing, and you know I kind of threw this together to try to give a sense of what our toolkit, our toolbox looks like, and it's broader than SOAR. And I tried to organize it. John mentioned in his introduction talk this thinking fast, thinking slow sort of framework, and so I've tried to characterize many of the technologies that we use. Some are clearly thinking fast technologies, things like deep learning, generative adversarial networks. Some are more traditional thinking slow type things, more symbolic systems. And then there are a bunch in the middle that kind of combine the two in various ways. And if you have questions about any of these, certainly reach out to me, and I can relatively few of these I can speak super deeply to myself, but I can put you in touch with people who can speak about them robustly. All right, so that's kind of the AI technologies and the expertise, that middle part. I now want to show a little bit about the kinds of challenges that SoarTech is tackling and the kinds of solutions that we're building, the left and right side of this slide deck. So we at SoarTech, we tend to focus on human-centered artificial intelligence. There are a lot of AI approaches out there. Some are more human-centric, some are less human-centric. And when I say human-centric, I really mean they're AI systems that have built into their design the kinds of properties that are necessary for the AI to work closely with a person. And in the military, this is becoming an increasingly important requirement. There's a lot of discussion within the military about AI systems that can explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. AI systems that can very intentionally build trust with a human user. AI systems that can collaborate closely, understand what the human user is trying to do, and figure out how to support that. Often that means very natural language forms of interaction with human users who are not deeply technical, and the AI needs to figure out how to communicate and interact with, collaborate with a human expert who is not an AI programmer, but is a soldier, a sailor, a Marine, an airman, out being an expert at what they're an expert at. And we really, you know, not all of our portfolio, but a significant portion of our AI toolbox portfolio is rooted in this idea of AI approaches that support and facilitate a more human-centered kind of solution. As a company, we are organized into two areas, which really are rooted in or groups of two of the military's toughest problems. The first is our autonomous platforms group, which really focuses on AI technologies to support physical unmanned platforms. These are all those drones, those unmanned ground vehicles, unmanned underwater vehicles, unmanned air vehicles, whether they be the small quadcopters, swarms of the small quadcopters, or you know, the larger drones, you know, robots. Typically for us, wheeled robots. We haven't done too much with legged robots at this point, and increasing the attention that we're able to put on surface and undersurface sea systems. So there are a couple of really tough problems in this space that we have been working on for the past well, actually probably the past over 10 years now. The autonomy, how does this unmanned system reason and learn to execute tasks? The human-machine interaction, again, how is this autonomous system collaborate with a human who is either in the loop, working directly with the robot, or what's called on the loop, which means monitoring what the robot's doing and, you know, providing high-level tasking and interjecting when that needs to happen. Shared situational awareness, both how does the human and the robot share situational awareness, but also an interesting problem is once you have this full suite of unmanned systems out in an environment gathering information for you, how do you put that all together into a single way for a human to maintain situational awareness, right? We each have two eyes, and we're really good at understanding what we see through two eyes. But if you have 100 robots with 100 video cameras out there, then suddenly you have 100 eyes, and how does one human make sense of what's going on through 100 different eyes at once? And then that weird font there is swarm intelligence. How do you control large numbers of these unmanned platforms and coordinate at not the control of the individual platform level, but at the giving a task to a swarm and having them execute that task and kind of sort out the interaction on their own. And you see on the right there, we recently, it was a news story about one of our recent awards from DARPA to build AI for manned and unmanned dogfighting. And the specific area of that program that we are focused on is how to gain the trust of a human pilot who is sitting in an aircraft that they are not controlling. If you are sitting in an aircraft and you're in a dogfight and you're not controlling that aircraft, the AI is controlling that aircraft, how do we ensure that that human has enough trust that they don't grab control if they don't need to, and that they can be attending to other things? And how do we make sure that they don't have too much trust so that they fail to grab control when they should be grabbing control? Really exciting project and program to be focusing on, right centered in that idea of human-centered AI. The second area is our intelligent systems area, and this area really focuses on AI for training, and then the more software systems, not the physical platforms, but the more virtual software platforms. A lot of work there in virtual role players for simulation. How can you populate training simulations with lots of virtual role players who are doing realistic things, and ideally are virtually aware that they're in a training simulation and thinking about training goals, not just immediate simulation goals. Data analysis and processing for decision support. A lot of work recently in cyber social resiliency and training, the combination of kind of the cyber world and the social media world. We're getting more and more into AI for medical monitoring, diagnosis, and intervention. Kind of medical decision support is a growing area for us, and AI for wargaming. And what's really interesting there is the Marine Corps recently released a significant update to their commander's intent on wargaming. And there's a huge emphasis in that, in the need for thinking enemies in wargaming. And obviously the best thinking enemy is a human, but humans are expensive, and human experts are not always available. And so an AI that can provide that thinking enemy or those thinking teammates can be valuable. And we're very proud, last year in 2019, one of our systems, the Adaptive and Virtual Mission Familiarization Tool, was deployed to the Harry S. Truman. So we have a SoarTech built AI system that is on this aircraft carrier and is being used regularly for sailors in their I believe it's mostly used in the training context on the aircraft carrier. So as is tradition for SOAR workshop talks, I want to give some nuggets and coal. And so what are our nuggets? So it's a good time to be an AI company in the Defense Department. There is a strong focus throughout the Defense Department in how AI can be used to solve tough problems. This is, become just like it is more broadly in the world, and especially in the tech world. In the military, AI has become a technology of focus. And there are a lot of opportunities for that. The second nugget is we have more opportunities to do exciting, fun, cool things than we have time to pursue all those opportunities. And the third nugget here is that the staff that we have carefully developed over the past 22 years and the reputation that we have carefully earned over the past 22 years is really paying off and is a differentiator. And I remember times when I worked at SoarTech when we actively tried to avoid using the words artificial intelligence because it had, within the DoD community, it had such a negative connotation. And obviously we've made a 180-degree turn from that right now. But we were an AI company when it wasn't easy to be an AI company, and that is paying off now that there are more opportunities. What is our coal? Our coal comes from, in some cases, our coal comes from our nuggets. The first chunk of coal is a fairly blatant hint to anyone who's listening about potential opportunities in the future. Attracting top-notch technical talent is our most critical challenge. That is the hardest thing for us, and it's really has been for a while now our number one challenge. We are looking to hire scientists, we are looking to hire software engineers, and we're looking to hire a category of engineer that we call AI engineers, which are software engineers with particular skills, expertise, knowledge of one or more AI systems, or a particular interest in growing those kinds of skills. So, just consider that if you're out there, or you know someone out there who might be looking for a place that's looking for talent. The second chunk of coal here, with growth and new opportunities comes change, and change is hard. If you remember back to that revenue, we've grown a lot over the past couple of years, and we've had to undergo and are continuing to have to undergo some change through that growth. And it's just, changes can be a tough thing, and it involves a lot of conversation and a lot of work, and a lot of effort. And the second thing here is with such a wealth of opportunity comes many distractions, and with so many cool things that we could do, trying to focus on the ones that are the best opportunities and the most important to us is a real challenge. And so, we suffer a little bit from being the kid in the candy store, with how many opportunities we have, and trying to keep focus on the ones we want to do can be a challenge. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I guess I don't know if there are any questions.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're a little bit over time, but this is a break right now, and Eula did want to ask if you offer summer internships.
We do. I think right now, I don't know if someone's on who can check me on this, but I believe this summer we have something like 10 interns. And despite, the difficulties of the coronavirus pandemic and the stay-at-home orders, and it's a little weird because we have interns who are, starting internships and getting almost no face-to-face time with the people they're working with. But, they're continuing to be interns. So we do have, in particular, a robust summer internship program. But I think, internships are available at SoarTech throughout the year as well.
Okay, thank you. That's great to know. So this is the end of